Hi, my name's Ella, and I'm going to present some work I did working as a data scientist on the National Lung Cancer Audit. So just a bit of an introduction. The lung cancer audit sits within the National Cancer Audit Collaborating Centre, which is based at the Royal College of Surgeons and has academic partnerships with the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. This centre was set up in 2022, and it brought together 4 established cancer audits and also set up 6 new ones. To reduce the data burden on hospital staff, NatCan audits do not collect clinical data directly. Instead, they use nationally mandated flows of data from hospitals to the National Disease Registration Service in England and the Wales Cancer Network in Public Health Wales. Using this approach, NatCan receives clinical information for every patient diagnosed with cancers covered by their audit in England and Wales. NHS organisations therefore do not need to formally register for these audits or provide additional data. So, when the lung cancer audit joined NatCan, the existing reporting format was annual State of the Nation reports. These included 10 performance indicators and made 5 recommendations to highlight where services should focus quality improvement activities. Historically, the provider level results that were distributed were manually prepared static Excel files with limited data visualization and interactivity. So when the lung cancer audit moved to NatCan, they were also looking to increase the frequency of reporting from annually to quarterly, and so this provided an opportunity for thinking about new ways of working. So in terms of our quarterly report, we tried to set out a minimum viable product and their aims. So the aims of our quarterly report was to present performance indicators responsive to change over time, to support healthcare providers track their progress and monitor quality improvement, and to provide results in a more interactive format. The content of the report included 3 years of data at quarterly time increments. The analysis made use of the rapid cancer registration data, which is made available in a more timely manner than the gold standard cancer registration data. There are some trade-offs around data quality. I could talk about that at length, but I've just got 10 minutes today. The indicators were selected from our annual report, and this was informed by advice from our clinical leads, with consideration about which indicators would be responsive to short-term changes and where we had sufficient patient numbers. In terms of the intended audience, we focus on NHS providers in England because unfortunately at the moment we don't receive Welsh data on a quarterly basis. So our approach to development was to start simple and then move through changes iteratively and incrementally. Throughout, we really welcomed user feedback and used that to guide changes and plan our future updates. Throughout this development project, it was important that we maintained our quarterly reporting publication timelines while moving from Excel to Shiny. And in terms of the timeline, we had 2 phases. The first phase, NatCan used the lung cancer audit as a pilot. So the lung cancer audit started quarterly reporting in 2023, and that initially was with Excel because that's what people were familiar with, and it was felt it was easy to kind of update and change and share. In April 2024, the format transitioned from Excel to Shiny, and that minimum viable product was really well received, and the pilot was considered a success. So the impact of that first phase of development, moving from Excel to Shiny, led to doubling the engagement with our provider level results. The second phase of development was rolling out these Shiny dashboards across all 10 audits within NatCan, and that started with the formation of a working group within NatCan. By April 2025, we had managed to deploy Shiny dashboards across all audits within NatCan. And in terms of the impact of that second phase of development, so we shared modular code across audits, and this enabled 90% of audits to launch these dashboards within 3 months. There was one audit that didn't launch within that time period, and that was more to do with it being slightly out of sync of the reporting schedule with the other 9 audits rather than any sort of technical constraints. Additionally, the efficiencies that we managed to deliver through quarterly reporting in this manner has freed up analyst time for other priorities. So, for example, we've been designing quality improvement initiatives that are due to start this autumn, which hopefully, is added value rather than sort of churning through this kind of regular reporting cycle. And also to work with our providers trying to resolve data quality issues as well, which will allow us to report on more types of indicators. So I've just got a few, apologies, they're screenshots, but just to show you where we started with Excel and where we headed to with Shiny. So we started off very simple. It's just three worksheets here: introduction, acknowledgements, and the dashboard itself. There were initially just 2 user inputs, so the user can select the trust and the indicator of interest. Below that, there's a bit of information defining the numerator, denominator, as well as details of risk adjustments, our control limits, and methods for the moving average. And then this is the main figure on the right-hand side. This is dynamic, so as the user changes their selection, this figure will automatically update. It presents over a 3-year time period at quarterly increments. You've got the raw proportions, a moving average, control limits, and also the case volume. One of the limitations we ran into was small numbers. So when we're reporting at trust level and we're breaking that down at quarterly time increments, especially, so for example, this indicator is restricted to a specific disease subtype, a specific disease stage and performance status, then the numbers get very small. And once we've applied small number suppression rules, you can see that there are certain time points that just drop out, and so you lose that trend over time. In terms of moving to Shiny, so these screenshots are taken from an early version, so we very much tried to mirror what we developed in Excel and initially just transfer that over to Shiny to try and take our users with us. If you go, some of the slides will have QR codes, so if you follow that and take a look at the live version, it will have more features and functionality than what I'm presenting here, but this is really just to show you how we move from Excel to Shiny. So the left-hand side, the black panel is the navigation bar. Currently selected is the performance indicators within the quarterly report. You'll see we start at the top just with an overview. This sets out the aims, the intended audience, the data source and the time period. Below that, you've got the same two user inputs, so selecting a trust and a performance indicator. Here you've got a number of results tabs and a bit of information about the indicator definition and our methods. And again, the figure is a time series over 3 years. These thumbnails in the right-hand side allow you to download a copy of the figures. That's something that our users wanted to kind of insert our outputs into their reports or presentations they were giving at MDT meetings, so that was found to be quite useful. Below this, I've cut it off, but there is actually a data table with the aggregate data used to create this figure, and again, that can be downloaded in a CSV format. This was a really popular feature, so we went on to develop downloadable reports that are parameterized using kind of the NHS trust that the user selects. This is in an HTML file format, so you can either view it in a browser or you can actually open it in Word, and then people can go in. If there's excess text about the introduction or methods they don't need, they can take that out. If they want to put commentary around the figures, they're able to edit it. But it includes all the text and results that are in the app, but within a document format. So it's collating that information for people rather than them having to scrape that from our application. And again, it's consistent with the dashboard, so there's no new information, and text that's in the app aligns with that in the report, and the same with the figures. In the nature of time, I'll skip through these, but this is just showing the contents of that parameterized report, so the slides will be made available afterwards. Do have a look. So in terms of deployment options, there are a number of factors we considered. Ease of use, cost, scalability and performance, security and authorization, and customization. And there were three specific options we looked at. So first was POSIT Connect. This is a commercial platform for enterprise deployment. The advantages are it has advanced features for scaling and security. However, the disadvantages are it has a high license cost and it may be overkill for more simple scenarios. The second option we looked at was the Shiny server. This is a free open source server you host on your own infrastructure. The pros are you have full control and no license fee, but the disadvantages are you must manage all the security scaling and server admin tasks yourself. So the option that we decided to, with the resources we had available as a team, the option we went with was shinyapps.io. So this is a cloud platform that is offered by POSIT. It's fairly easy to deploy to with no server management required. However, there are limitations around its scalability, customization, and usage hours on the free and lower tiers. So just something to be aware of. So in terms of our workflow, we had 3 environments. The first was our data analysis environment. This is an on-premises server. It's an offline environment, and it holds the patient data that we receive from NDRS. And it's mainly people working as data for the data analysis to get to aggregate level results with small number suppression applied. That output is then checked for disclosure risks, and then that's moved into the Shiny application development environment. So initially, we worked in parallel. I worked with dummy data, so that allowed the code for the app and the code for the analysis to be developed in parallel. And as that kind of workflow matured, then the app started working with the aggregate data with small number suppression applied. That was then pushed to shinyapps.io with access limited to authorized users only by enabling authentication. And that is because we had a number of reviews. I guess we iterated with our project teams, with our clinical leads, who perhaps wouldn't be so comfortable running an app locally, but would still want to interrogate the data and play around with the functionality. So this option of having authentication allowed us to share it with our clinical leads and our funders and our commissioners to allow them to review it prior to publication. And once we've got sign off, we then move that into a production environment. Again, that's Shiny Apps IO, but it's publicly accessible with no login required, so anybody can look at that. So how did we move on from our minimum viable product? So on the left-hand side, you'll see a number of, I guess, stakeholders that we engaged with when we're sort of taking this project forwards. So on a weekly basis, we were meeting with the internal audit team as well as a data working group within NatCan. On a monthly basis, we met with our audit project team, which includes our clinical leads, and also the clinical effectiveness more broadly with that at the Royal College of Surgeons. Every 3 months prior to publication, we needed review and sign-off from our funders, who are NHS England, and commissioners, which is the Healthcare Quality Improvement Partnership. And on a 6-monthly basis at a minimum, sometimes more frequently, we had a clinical reference group and a patient and public involvement forum that we also regularly worked with. So that's a lot of people with a lot of different opinions, and how do we collate that and take that forwards? So we used a Kanban board, and all that feedback was used to inform what we called our backlog. We use this board to visualize our workflow with columns representing different stages of work, so to do, in progress, and done. We use it to focus on quality improvement. So as I mentioned, the feedback populates the backlog, and then from that we develop tasks, and they are placed on cards that can then move between the columns as that work progresses. It also really importantly enabled us to limit the work in progress. So each quarter we would review the backlog and prioritize features for development depending on our team's capacity in that quarterly cycle. And that was really important to prevent bottlenecks, but also encouraged us to complete tasks before moving on with the next. I think somebody mentioned yesterday, there's always, can you just do this? Is it possible? And it's like, you know, that there needs to be some kind of rationalizing about, you know, what you take forward. So just very quickly, this is a timeline of the additional functionality and content that we've added to the lung cancer audit dashboard since we launched in April 24. I won't go into the details, I know it's a lot there, but it's just really to reflect that we are really driven by the feedback that we get. We want it to be useful for our end users, and each quarter we have brought in, we've not just updated the data by 3 months, we've also brought in new features and functionality. Alongside that, we've run a number of external showcase events, and that's really to drive awareness and engagement of these dashboards, and also to demonstrate the new features like the parameterized reports to make people aware that that's available. I don't know if I've got time to... No, unfortunately not. So just finally to conclude and say that this was a team effort. It wouldn't have been possible with, you know, it's not just my work. So I'd just like to, you know, thank the National Lung Cancer Audit Project team who have their photos here, our clinical reference group, our patient and public involvement forum, the dashboard working group within NatCan, and then finally, just for the conference today, I'd really like to thank Welcome, HDR UK and NHSR, because it's been a great opportunity to present and meet all of you guys. And special shout out to the NHSR community, because their coffee and code sessions and their workshops have been invaluable as I've been kind of developing the skill set needed for this project. So thank you very much.